Boom.
Hi!
Hey, you can only see my head. I gotta back this thing up.
Yeah, right. All of a sudden, I'm like really close up.
Yeah, it looked perfect, and then I.
Right? And then the joint screen just kind of. Oh, there we go.
Here we go. Let's see if this works.
I'll take a step back. I see Aaron's on. Hello, Aaron. How are you? Thanks for tuning in.
We're getting high tech here.
Oh boy. I am not super tech savvy, so these things always make me so nervous, but I'm happy I'm on now. We're here. We're good.
That's right. We're just gonna angle this thing a little bit, and we'll be ready to rock.
We
Let's see. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
we mean business now.
Anybody who's watching this right now is just like, yeah, that's Mike for you. All right, we ready to do this?
Oh, yes.
All right. Welcome everyone to an Instagram live version of Coffee with a Personal Trainer. I'm joined by one of my good friends, Stephanie Grace. She's super talented in music, fitness, and everything she pretty much puts her mind to in life. I'm going to let Stephanie talk a little bit about herself, and then today we're going to talk about all kinds of things under the sun. And thanks for joining us, and I hope you are all well out there during this interesting time in our world. Steph.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, Mike, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this. This is cool. So, some people know me as Stephanie Grace, the singer. That is my full-time gig. Music has always been my passion. And then after I graduated high school, I got really into fitness and I worked part-time at my local gym, just at the front desk and cleaning treadmills and just being around fitness all the time just kind of made me obsessed with it. And next thing you know, a year and a half ago, I got my personal trainer certification and have been training clients ever since, and it's been great. But it's cool, like, this is my first interview as a trainer. And honestly, it's not even an interview, it's us chatting. I'm so used to, like, the music biz mindset where it's like, oh, this is an interview. Like, this is so different. This is cool. It's just two trainers chatting. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely, yeah, and this is just a conversation, and I think the biggest thing that Facebook and Instagram have really brought to the table in our lives is authenticity. We can be our authentic selves, and if you're
Yes.
a little nervous and you're not well polished and things like that, it's okay, because most people aren't, and people enjoy that. Yeah, Steph actually did an interview with me before when Private Pond was coming out, and that was at Sulia Studios, and that was a little over a year and a half ago, probably.
Wow. That
So
was. Yeah.
time is just cooking right now.
It is. It is. Oh my gosh. And this year, as awful as it has been, I feel like it started flying a little bit when the weather got warmer.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens as it gets cold. I think
Yeah,
it's giving us time to do a lot of things we wouldn't otherwise do. So I think
it's true.
brushing up on our hobbies and talking with our friends, it's a good time to focus on your fitness and your health. And
Yes.
yeah,
Make the most of it. Make it into a positive.
absolutely. So we have some questions we're going to go through here today. We're just going to have some side commentary, I'm sure. Um, but why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your specialties, the type of clients you're looking to work with, and why did you decide to branch out of exclusively music and can doing a little bit of fitness as well? Just give us a little deeper backstory of what's going on here.
Sure. Okay, I'll start with your third question. So, for me, as a musician, when you're on stage all the time, and this is for anyone, like you just feel self-conscious. And for me, I was not an athletic person. I tried sports. I am not sporty at all. And through high school, I was like, oh man, I need to do something because like all I did was eat, and like it just got to this point where I'm like, I need something to get me moving. And I always thought weightlifting was like fascinating and intimidating to me. So when I was 16, I joined my local gym and just got really into it. And I would take like 8-month long breaks, you know, like school life got in the way, every excuse I could give. And it wasn't until after high school I just really buckled down and got into it. But yeah, for me, it was more, I just needed something to be active. And once I started weightlifting, I was really drawn to that. And I loved going to the gym. Like that was my favorite part of the day. And it has been ever since. So yeah, it was just that like desire to be active, I think that got me into it. And I feel like the two career paths, like once I got into personal training, with singing, it's very similar where like you kind of just need to be like an energetic person and trying to like inspire and motivate people. So like I feel like both careers, as much as they are totally different, really kind of align as far as like the qualities in a person you need to like do these jobs and these careers. So for me, it just lucked out that I feel at home doing both of them. And yeah, for me, like I think my ideal client is just anyone who wants to better themselves. I think so many people think I need to hire a personal trainer once I get in better shape. And that drives me crazy when I hear that because I'm like, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you get in shape. We're here to help you start with where you are right now. So I'm just looking for anyone who wants to start right now. And whether that means like you're a seasoned athlete and you're looking to like do some more weightlifting, or like you're a complete beginner and you've never done a squat before in your life except squat down into a chair. I want to help you, you know? And my like go-to thing is weightlifting. I, of course, encourage everyone to have a well-rounded routine, including resistance training and conditioning. But for me, I normally will like have a lot of my clients do their hikes, do their biking, jogging, whatever, when they're not with me. And then with me, we really focus on weightlifting. So that's kind of my like specialty and my go-to.
Yeah, and I mean, Steph is freakishly strong. If you guys ever watch her videos, some of the deadlift weights she moves, it's very impressive because she's a very tiny girl and she can really move some serious weight. So I always give her credit where credit is due.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Because like I said, when I first started, I was so intimidated by weightlifting. And, you know, I feel like people always think it's such a guy thing and it's like an athlete thing. And it's not. It's so good for everyone to partake in. And for me, I just got fascinated with becoming stronger and stronger. And that doesn't have to be everyone's goal. Like strength doesn't have to be your goal. But of course, like overall, you're going to see improvements in strength just the more you're adding resistance training into your daily life. So it's fascinating to see that just transformation, honestly. Yeah, I started the girl who like couldn't even lift a bar, and then I had my deadlift 1 rep max at 200 pounds, which is a lot more than I weigh. So it was cool.
Yeah, and I think people really need to hear that, where resistance training is really where you're going to improve your metabolism, and as your strength goes up, your muscle content of your body is going to go up, and you're going to be able to eat more food and stay the same, or make better progress. A lot of people go to the gym and the first thing they do is jump on the cardio equipment. And they're like, I'm going to do 2 hours of walking. It's like, okay, that's great. I don't want to take anything away from that, but
Yeah.
weight training is the secret sauce, and you'd be hard pressed to find a trainer that doesn't make that a cornerstone of their own routine, or anybody that's in really good shape for that matter.
Amen. And it's so true. I think there is this stigma and I think there's this intimidation because I can't tell you how many times I've had people come in the gym and just be like, oh, I don't want to do any of that weight stuff. That looks confusing. It's overwhelming. Like people get hurt. And then I hear that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're going to get hurt if you don't build muscle. Like you want to be strong and be independent years down the road, and building that muscle now is what's going to do that. So yeah, absolutely. Like, we got to spread that message.
They actually just released research that said that strength and conditioning is actually the safest form of physical activity out there. And it's actually proven now with the current research. I mean, it can change. Research is just constantly moving science. But yeah, something else unique between Steph and I is we're both musicians. You're obviously a much more polished musician. I'm just a really good guitar player. I don't ever say anything further than that. I played in some bands over the years, but there's really not too many personal trainers out there that are also musicians. So that's two things that's very unique with us.
Yes, absolutely. And that's like the moment I met you, I was fascinated by the two passions because like I have yet to meet anyone who shares the same two because they're very unique passions. So this is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Thanks again for having me. This is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad we could finally link up. We've done some stuff together over the years, and it's I always have a great time doing anything with you. We always see
Likewise.
relatively eye to eye with things, and we have some contrast in there, which is good. People need to see the contrast as well. So, second question is off the fitness path a little bit, and I think it's just important. My book that just got released in March is called Perpetual Improvement. So, I always like to get other people's viewpoints on what that means to them. So, what do you think the biggest thing someone can do to achieve success in all areas of their life would be?
Oh, okay. So, in my opinion, working hard, of course, is number one, but I would say, in my opinion, the secret to success is consistency. Whatever you are doing, like you can be doing all the right things, but if you're not doing them consistently, like what are you working towards? So I just think people need to consistently be working hard and success will come. I know it's such a short answer, but I just think, especially with fitness, like people think, oh, I want to lose weight and I'm doing this, and they're looking for that like short term answer. And it's like, no, or like they'll eat a salad once and then be like, hashtag health. Did I lose 20 pounds yet? And it's like, no, you need to consistently be doing these things, and that's when results come.
Hashtag leafy greens.
Yes. Hashtag health goddess. We've all seen it. We've all seen it.
Oh yeah, we're the hashtag generation. But my response is similar. It's routine and discipline is very similar to consistency and having the routine that's serving you and not putting you in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Andre Young, local author I was talking to today, he talks about the 5 parts of your day. And, obviously, talking about your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then, like, when you go to work, when you come home from work, he says it way more eloquently than I will. But it's one of those things where, you need to be transitioning throughout your day to serve your goals and continue moving forward, which leads me to my last point, which is personal growth and development. If there's anything that ever happened in this world, it's written and it's at your fingertips.
Yes.
So I must always say that you're doing your great grandparents and your grandparents and your parents a disservice if there's something out there that you want to learn about and you're not actively doing it because the information's free and
Yeah.
it's right in front of you. Another thing, I'm kind of beating a dead horse, but with COVID, now's been the time where you can reach out to your local celebrities. You can reach out to your friends, your family, people you didn't have time to talk to,
Yeah.
and you can say, hey, like, what do you do to find success? And like most people are willing to give you a couple minutes of their time. So just those 3 things, along with the
Yeah.
consistency. You're right, 100%. I think that's big.
Absolutely. And like you said, with COVID, and of course, like everyone copes differently. I know some people are just struggling to like mentally survive this, and I respect that. I get that. But for people who are just like really bored and antsy, it's like now is the time to like go after your passions. And like you said, everything's so readily available now where you can put in the work, you can research, you can educate yourself. And just like on a final note with that, like you summed it up beautifully. Like people, I think the moment you think you know everything is the moment that there's no more personal growth. And that's what you want. You want to constantly be growing. You want to constantly be learning. So you need to be a sponge and just absorb everything and always be willing and ready to learn because that's how you're going to grow.
Yeah, definitely. And I brought him up twice now already, but I was talking to Andre this morning, so this stuff's fresh in my mind. And he said
Yeah.
his book says like you're in the have it all mode or you're in the just getting by mode.
Yeah.
As soon as you think you're in the have it all mode, you need to pivot to something else so you can start having a bunch of things that you know it or you have it all in your mind because there's a lot of aspects of your life. So my book talks about health, wealth, success, happiness, relationships, fitness, and nutrition because to me those are like the 7 pillars.
Yes.
But
All are important.
yeah, all of them are important, and you're going to have different levels of each one. So
Yes. Absolutely.
All right, Steph. So, what's the best and greatest piece of advice that you've been given in your life that allowed you to, maybe in the dark hours or times where things aren't going perfect, that like kind of pulls you out of the rubble and you're like, okay, it just sticks in the front of your mind where you're like, okay, this is what is going to keep me moving forward at all times.
I think my answer to this is similar to what we just talked about. Like, just to answer the first part of that, like, the best piece of advice I've been given is to simply be okay with not knowing everything. I think we were just talking about that. Like, you need to never stop learning and growing. But for me, especially when I first became a personal trainer, I was so insecure. And like when people would ask me questions, I'm like, I'm now the fitness professional they're asking. And I think someone told me, like, it's okay to say, I don't know, instead of sitting there and making up some answer, pulling it out of thin air, and not being sure in what you said. Like, it's okay to not know. And for me, like, there have been times a client asked me a question. I'm like, you know what? Let me research that and get back to you. Instead of me just being like, well, I mean, maybe you could do this. And it's like, oh my gosh, don't ever do that. So, yeah, yeah. So just that humility where it's like, it's okay to not know everything has been very eye-opening for me. And then just through everything going on, like, it's okay to not be okay. Like, everyone's struggling right now. Like, when you look at the world around us, there's not an industry, there's not a person who's not been impacted by this pandemic. So I think, like, I kept thinking, I just launched my fitness business this year. I mean, because of the pandemic, because I was employed by a gym and then the gym closed permanently. And I was like, I can't not train people. So I became an LLC, got insurance, all that stuff, and then officially started my own thing. And I keep thinking, like, what if I'm not doing great? What if I'm not doing great? And people are like, Steph, you're in the middle of a global pandemic. Like, it's not going to be the best year you're ever going to have. In fact, it's probably going to be the worst. So just accepting that, realizing that, and just doing the best you can and realizing that that's enough. Always strive to work harder and do better, but also don't sit there and beat yourself up at the circumstances around you.
Perfect answer.
Answer.
I will piggyback on that and say that I have my intern from Penn State, and I was doing a coaching call with her earlier. I was teaching her about macronutrients and how to stay within your scope of practice with fitness and
Yeah.
nutrition. And she asked me a question, and I didn't know how to answer it because I haven't dealt with it, and I've been doing this for 15 years. She was like, "How do you write macronutrients for a vegan, and how do you offer recommendations for a vegan?" And I said, honestly, I've never had to do that, so
Yeah.
it's kind of ignorant, but everything that I've ever done has been with people that eat some type of meat or at least fish and eggs.
Yeah.
So I told her I'm not the person to answer that question. I said you might want to find somebody that specializes in veganism and vegan
Exactly.
nutrition. So actually, I'm going to refer her to my one friend. Shout out Queen of Green. And she's going to be, hopefully linking up with her, and they'll be able to talk that through a little bit more because that was not something I could answer.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
but
better
for
to do
me,
that.
go ahead.
It's better to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so one of my biggest pieces of advice came from one of my clients who is a lawyer, and she was the one that actually helped me finance the start of formal fitness training, and she's like a mentor in my life for a very long time. She used to tell me when somebody would say that they didn't want to train or somebody didn't want to eat healthy or whatever, her biggest thing was, and she tells her kids this all the time, it's you either make an excuse or you make it happen. And that kind of goes back to what I just said about, making your great grandparents proud. It's like if you can't figure out how to make an advertisement, do a social media post, post on Twitter, if you can't figure all that stuff out, make a video, exercise. Like, we're personal trainers, but there's a million things on social media um, that we need to kind of rein people back in, and we need to say, okay, there's a right and a wrong way to do things,
Yeah.
but you should at least be pursuing the knowledge that you're looking to obtain,
Yes.
and don't make excuses. Like, we just said about, COVID, and a lot of people are going to have their worst year ever, but you know what, though? There's always a silver lining. Like you said,
Yeah.
this is probably going to be your worst year ever. I don't think that's true. I think you might find this to be one of your best years because you're learning so much that you wouldn't have the time to do otherwise. And you know what a setback is? It's a setup for a comeback. And that's
Yes.
shout out Chris Hogan. but that's his words, and honestly, that's so true.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that and your quote about make an excuse or make it happen, that is 100% what I think the whole US population needs to hear, especially when it comes to exercise and diet. I mean, those are the two components that I feel like everyone struggles with. Everyone struggles with that. And, sometimes it's just simply not knowing enough. Like, I remember in high school, I didn't know how to make healthy food choices. I mean, I knew broccoli was healthy, and that's all I knew. Like, I didn't know like what were good sources of protein. Like, I didn't know any of that. And then after high school, I really started just researching it, and I was fascinated by it. But then you also have the people who know what they need to do and just struggle to do it. And that's human, and it's difficult, and I think it just requires behavioral change, which is not an easy thing.
It's a good segue into question four. We kind of touched on it in the beginning. Steph was saying that she's willing to work with people that are ready to start out. They're ready to take that plunge. I'm generally working with people a little more experienced or a little bit further down the fitness journey, which is good though, because that gives you an opportunity to maybe reach some of my audience that you wouldn't
Yeah.
otherwise necessarily reach, and vice versa. Um, but we definitely wanted to talk about this. This is a big thing you wanted to talk about. And what advice would you and I give someone who's just starting out on an exercise program on how to excel? And I'll let you take that first, and we can just bounce off of each other on this one.
Yes, this is something I run into constantly with people coming in and out of the gym, or even people I train in their home. Like, they have the equipment in their home and they still struggle to put that time aside to exercise and to make healthy food choices, at least the majority of the time. And I think that's going to segue into my answer is people need to ditch the all or nothing mindset. That is where we get tripped up. I've noticed people will have that one slice of pizza and then be like, screw it. I ate a slice of pizza. I might as well eat the whole thing. And it's like, oh, no, no, no. And honestly, though, I'm guilty of it too. We're all guilty of it. And I think too, like, oh, I missed my workout today. So the next day, like, well, I missed it yesterday. What's the point in working out today? And what's so unfortunate is that then you fall off the bandwagon entirely versus just like a quick little, and then you just jump right back on. And I think that's what I try to encourage people to do is just find that balance of it's okay to miss a workout. It's okay to have a couple slices of pizza, but don't just go absolutely crazy and absolutely, with the food and then lazy with the fitness. You just gotta like stay on track as best you can and not focus on those times you've gone off track.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And then you also got to know what your body structure is and what you're trying to do. So if you're somebody that's skinny and naturally in shape, you could be looking at, a calorie surplus because you're trying to build
Yeah.
muscle. So those people can
True.
have cheat days where they can have a day where they just go off the radar and eat and drink whatever they want. Then the opposite would be true. Somebody that's, overweight, wants to lose weight, now they might get one or two cheat meals per 10-day cycle. So don't confuse cheat days and cheat meals. If fat loss is your goal, it's hold on, I want to get this right. If fat loss is your goal, it's cheat meal. If muscle building is your goal, it's cheat day. So you want to make sure you rewind and you get that part down.
Yeah.
And if you're a genetically blessed person that maintains their fat levels pretty well, you can pull those levers either way. But just
Yeah.
remember that that's important, and just get started.
Yeah.
Um, get
No
into
excuses.
yeah, get in a gym or work out at home if you're not comfortable in a gym right now. Believe me, and I totally get it. If
Yeah.
you're not comfortable in a gym right now, that's why I'm mostly virtual right now. Steph,
Yeah.
I know, is at the gym, and a lot of my other trainer friends are, but I'm mostly virtual because my clients are older, a lot of them. So many of them are comfortable at home right now. And I
Yeah.
can't be at two places at once, so I've just made the decision to stay virtual. But just get yourself some good bands, get yourself some dumbbells, and that's 8,000 exercises you can learn right there, just in those two things.
Yes.
So just get
Yes.
started, but make sure strength and conditioning is part of
Yes, yes,
it.
absolutely. And to go back, that's such a good point about people have different goals. I think the thing I always hear is weight loss, but it's true there are people looking to put on muscle. Like, the high school athlete who's 15 and, you know, is hitting the weight room off season and they're looking to put on muscle, I'm like, okay, well, we can lift all we want, but if you're going home and you're not eating enough protein, you know, so I think people, and eating in a surplus, that's important. So I think people do need to realize, or just kind of hone in on what their goals are and realize what they need to do to make it happen. Fat loss, calorie deficit, and muscle gain, caloric surplus. And then if you're like, cool, you enjoy those maintenance calories. And people do need to realize that genetics is a huge part of it. Like, people are like, how do I get rid of this? And I'm like, overall fat loss, and then genetics will take off where it goes first. Isn't it great? It's a mystery to me too. Like, you don't know, it's genetics. So people need to realize that too. Some people are just blessed, like you said.
Yeah, it's so true, and that's why there's not one size fits all with trainer recommendations either. There's going to be clients that I write any type of workout and they get jacked in 3 months, and I have other clients that it's going to take 3 years. It's just
Everyone's
we've
different.
seen it. It's crazy.
Yeah, everyone's different.
What are programming and barriers that you're seeing people achieving results both now and pre-COVID?
Probably just consistency. Like, if I have a client who trains with me once a week, I write up a routine for them to do when they're not with me. And then I see them and I'm like, all right, you know, let me see your workout card. Did you fill it out? Did you do it? And they're like, oh, I didn't get in. Or they'll just come in and be like, I haven't done anything since I saw you last. I'm like, I mean, it's great. It's better than nothing. Something is always better than nothing, but you always want to try to, again, be consistent, getting, you know, those, I think the guidelines currently are 2 days of resistance training and 300 minutes of moderate intensity cardio and 75 of vigorous intensity. I forget what the exact guidelines are, but, you know, I try to tell people at least get those 2 days of resistance training in and be out moving as much as you can. And it's just a struggle for some people. Like, they like working with a trainer because it's an appointment that they can't miss. And that's the difference, where it's like, okay, I got to get myself to the gym and tell myself what to do, and it's not fun. And, you know, I just run into that, like, motivation issue, which again goes back to, like you said, discipline's so important, because I think if people only work out when they're motivated, they're not going to consistently work out. There are times when I don't feel like going to the gym. I get there, I'm like, I am cranky, I had a long day, I didn't sleep well, I'm exhausted. But I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to show up and I'm going to do what I can. And that's always better than nothing. So.
Yeah, and I think motivation and happiness are both a choice.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to figure out what that is that's going to click you into your zone. You know me well enough to know I like every type of music under the sun except rap. It's not my thing. But, like, I listen to death metal, like the craziest, screamiest music you can imagine before I start working out and during. And then I listen to, like, the highest beats per minute techno music I could get my hands on to do cardio. But it gets me going, and you got to find what drives you.
Yes, that's so true. Sometimes it's just music. Sometimes it's working out with a partner. Like, who knows what it is, but find what that is for you that makes you look forward to it.
So what do you think, here's the question that's off topic, but what do you think is the appropriate amount of hours in a perfect world that somebody would devote per week to working out and all 5 components of physical fitness? So flexibility, for people that don't know, flexibility, body composition, muscular strength, muscular endurance, and cardiorespiratory function. The 5 components of fitness, do not neglect any of those, but what do you think would be the ideal number of hours somebody should endeavor to get to in a week's time?
Oh my. So the number of hours in an entire week.
Yep, to get all that done.
I feel like this number is different for everyone. I mean, ideally, it'd be great if people could just meet the current physical activity guidelines, but there's other components to it too than just your resistance training and your cardio conditioning. So, this is a tough one. I don't know if I have an answer. I feel like this is just a very case by case basis. Like I said, of course, you want to meet those physical activity guidelines, and they're like the minimum. So if you can exceed them, great. But if you can start there with those 2 days of resistance training, and the resistance training can be 45 minutes. It doesn't have to be a 2 hour long. I think that's a misconception too. People think I don't have time to work out because they think it's a 2 hour excursion at the gym, and it's like you can have an effective resistance training workout in 30 minutes. I mean, I train people, my sessions are half hour. We knock it out, full body routine. So yeah, this is a tough one. I want to hear your answer. Where are you at with this, Mike?
Well, I agree. It wasn't a trick question. I was kind of hoping you were gonna go in that direction. I look at everything as a dichotomy. So like good, evil, too much exercise, not enough exercise. And I believe that life is kind of lived in that minus 20 plus 20 percentile. So you
Yeah.
want to kind of be in here. So some weeks you're going to be working out 8, 9 hours a week and you're going to be bordering on overtraining. Other weeks life's going to happen and you're going to be 3 or 4 hours a week and you're going to be stressed out. You're not going to be taking care of your body the way you should be. But as long as you stay in that middle ground, I think you're safe. Me personally, I think if I was going to give an hour by hour description, I would say 3 hours of weight training per week, 2 hours of cardio, 1 hour of leisure cardio, and 1 hour of high intensity cardio. And then 1 hour of mobility, flexibility, stretching, because you know what? Steph and I are young. That's not going to last forever. Mobility is the biggest problem I see in people over the age of 40. And I'm 34, so I'm on my way. But I foam roll 3 days a week. I stretch almost every day. Just, don't forget about that. But it's about 6 hours for me would be the
Yeah.
general consensus. Consensus.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great answer. I was gonna say like between like five and 7 hours, but I was like, it's so hard. I think too when people hear numbers, they get very intimidated. So I'm like, just do what you can right now. I'm pretty sure research even says like 10 minutes a day of moving is better than nothing. So just do what you can right now and build from it over time. I think that's the issue too. I've had people sign up at the gym and they're like, I'm going to come in 6 days a week. And I'm like, that's how often I work out. And it took me years to get that kind of discipline. Why don't you start with 3 days a week? And they're like, just 3 days. I'm like, trust me, try 3 days a week. And then they struggled to get in 3 days a week. I'm like, okay, we'll start with 2 days. Once you consistently can get in 2 days a week, add a third day. Work up to those 6 days. And if you never get to that 6 days, that's okay. But, just do what you can and do your best is what I tell people.
Yeah, I just saw Intuitive Roots is on. That's my friend Ben, who's also a trainer, and we were actually talking about that recently, how we've both turned down a lot of money. We've turned down big contracts because somebody wants to work 5 days a week, and we're like, it's not right for you. Let's start with 2. And they're like, wait, you don't want my money? And it's like, no, it's not that. We do. We just
Yeah.
want you to do it the right way and start slow. And then those people love you for it in the
Yes.
long run.
Yes.
But you
Yes.
do gotta start slow. Otherwise you'd be so sore that you absolutely can't move, and that's a problem too.
Exactly. I can't. Oh my gosh, you just summed up. I've had a couple people recently who wanted to sign up for 5 days a week. And I was like, that's great. But it's not gonna, I'm like, look, we focus on resistance training. If you're totally new to resistance training, you can't go from 0 to 5 days a week. That's just not, if an exercise is new to your body, you're gonna be sore. And you don't want to be so sore you come back the next day and then you're more sore. And it's like, that's not, I mean, muscle soreness, I tell everyone, it's the exercise tax. Everyone's got to pay it. That's normal. But, when you're just starting out, you have to ease in. That's so important because you don't want people to be so discouraged they don't want to come back again. But yeah, same thing. I've recently had 2 people who were like 5 days a week, and I was like, let's start with 2 or 3, and they're like 3, and I'm like, okay. So that I'm training them Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they're like, oh yeah, this is a lot. I'm like, yeah. When you're not with me, if you still happen to have energy, go for a hike, go for a walk. But I'm telling you that's good. You'll like you said, they thank you for it later.
I like that exercise tax. I've never actually heard that before. I always say sweat equity, but exercise tax it's better.
I
It's
like
better.
that. No, the trainer at my gym told me that once. He was like, the exercise tax, everyone's got to pay it. Yeah.
But yeah, tell everybody your social media tags, where they can find you, where they can listen to your music if they want to,
Oh,
because
thank
it's
you.
phenomenal. I really like your music a lot. But this was about fitness, and we don't want to make it too long here, so we'll let Steph give her little 2 minute pitch here, and then we'll close this out. Thanks for joining in, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much, Mike. Thanks for having me. This was cool. And yeah, I guess fitness will start there. I currently do not have a website, which I know is so lame. In my defense, I just started this in June. So I know. I have no excuses, right? For now, though, I have a Facebook page and, of course, my Instagram. So facebook.com/Steph Grace Fitness. And then obviously here on Instagram, Steph Grace Fitness. And yeah, my music, you can go to my website, stephanie-grace.com. And you can email me there too for fitness and music inquiries. So info@stephanie-grace.com is where you can email me. But yeah, for now, until I get a website, facebook.com/Steph Grace Fitness. But thank you so much. This was so cool. And I just appreciate you, Mike. Like you said, we've worked together in different capacities over the years. So this was really cool today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Where are you located right now as far as training? Do you have a gym, or are you local, or where are you at?
I totally forgot to mention where the heck I am. So I am located in Douglasville, PA, and I currently train people either at Snap Fitness, which is between the liquor store and the bakery core police. It's a perfect spot for a gym. So, just get your tomato pie and your booze and come train with me. Or like you, I offer the virtual option. I train people on Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, whatever you use, and I do in-home training. I haven't set like a radius yet, but so far all my clients are here in Douglasville, but I'm willing to travel a little bit. So even if you don't have equipment in your home, I have a client right now who all she has is a chair, and I'm like, great, we can do step-ups, we can do dips, we can do planks and squats and all this other stuff. We don't need a whole lot of equipment. So I do train people in their homes as well. But yeah, Douglasville, that's where I'm located. Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. And if any of Steph's audience is watching this, I'm virtual training based right now, but you can also find me at Retro Fitness Kenhurst, Why I'm Missing Fitness, once COVID kind of gets under control. And I also have a new book out called Perpetual Improvement, which is a short 62-page book, which will change your life. But Steph, lovely catching up as always. I wish you nothing but the best as always, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much. We will talk soon, but thank you for having me, and keep the fitness faith. Is that a thing? I'm gonna start a new saying. Keep the fitness faith. That's so bad. I'm gonna work on my sign off. Thanks again, Mike. Take care.
All right, everybody, see you later.
See ya.